The boy king serves at the master's table 3 lies he will offer you.
That is one of Il'gynoth's whispers, and Rage and I kind of looked at it a while back, and we have a new theory. So I'm Sage.
And I'm Rage, and today we're here to talk about this whisper, the one that kind of threw us off, and our theories on this, and maybe our speculations. But the boy king, a lot of people thought it was Anduin, and maybe thought that the 3 lies that Anduin would maybe offer us haven't come to pass yet. And that could still be very true. But we're thinking about a different boy king. A black prince, so to say. And so today we want to talk about Wrathion, son of Deathwing.
And what is a prince but a king to be?
Exactly. His title is the Black Prince. And so he's a king to be. And given that he is technically the ruler of the Black Dragonflight now, and maybe the only one, maybe a few others are here and there, as lore bends and shapes, as we have some introductions to new Black Dragonflight and Legion in High Mountain. But he is to be the ruler of the Black Dragonflight. And he is, physically in his appearance, and also just in age as far as he's lived so far, a boy. And he is a boy king. And Il'gynoth is saying that he serves at the master's table. So before we really get into Wrathion, I want to talk about Deathwing for a little bit.
Yeah.
And his backstory. And so Deathwing is the Earth Warder, and he's charged with all the things of the deep and everything else like that, and protecting the Earth and where power truly comes from. And he is driven mad by the old gods. Deathwing becomes the #1 foot soldier, so to say, of the old gods and the Void Lord's agenda on Azeroth.
Yeah, if we're going down the old gods' plans for Azeroth, Deathwing was a whole expansion-wide plan by the old gods. It failed, or at least so we assume, but Deathwing was like, if we're talking generals of the old gods' army, he'd be the Kill Jaden of the old gods.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very powerful player. He plays a big role. He gives Azeroth one of her deaths in the form of the Cataclysm.
Yeah.
That Il'gynoth whispers about, on her in the hour of her 3rd death, she will usher in our coming. And so he's driven mad. He is a pawn and an agent of the Void Lords and the old gods. Deathwing plays a major role. He is the father of Wrathion. And Wrathion, quote unquote, is apparently free from the madness of the old gods through the whole thing that happened in the Badlands with the red dragonflight and experimenting on the egg. But when he hatches out and he is in charge of Ravenholt, it seems. It seems like he's just there and nobody questions it at all. And he sends us on the very first thing we do for Wrathion, who is supposedly free from the madness of the old gods, is he sends us out to kill the last of the other black dragons, Creed, Nalus, and Farad. And so Wrathion has an agenda the minute he comes out of his egg.
Yeah.
To kill. And then we get to Mista Pandaria. And this is where we start getting into the 3 lies he will offer you. I really want to emphasize on Il'gynoth's phrasing of 3 lies the Boy King will offer you.
Yeah.
And so the first lie that we come to be offered in Mista Pandaria is that we meet Wrathion, and he offers up to help us out if we help him. And he says, the Legion is coming. So here's Wrathion's play into the Legion and how this all unfolds. Wrathion is worried about the Legion all the way back in Mista Pandaria. And he says, if you help me out, I will reward you greatly, but Azeroth cannot stand divided. Either the Alliance or the Horde has to win this war so that there is one major faction defending Azeroth.
Yeah, and Wrathion offers to pledge his loyalty to your side. But what you come to realize is your side is either side you're on. He's playing both sides. So that right there is a lie in the beginning. He doesn't care about the Alliance or the Horde. He just wants to play whichever side's going to win. So he'll help the Horde, he'll help the Alliance, boost them both up, and then whichever one's stronger, that's where his real allegiance lies.
Exactly. So when you meet him, he's talking out both sides of his mouth. If you're an Alliance player, he'll be like, hey, I'll help you out. If you're a Horde player, he'll be like, no, I'll help you out. And either side, he pushes and wants this thing done. Now, as the story of Mista Pandaria unfolds, there's several other quest lines where he offers you aid and then says one thing and talks out both sides of his mouth. And we could go into every little quest line and say, there's another lie, there's another lie. But there's one in particular where Wrathion wants us to go into the Throne of Thunder and take the heart of the Thunder King from Lei Shen. And he wants this because there's a lot of knowledge of the Titans and power in there. And if you remember the quest chain at all, when Wrathion literally eats the heart of the Thunder King, he says that he can't remember what all the information is, or it's too much to process. It's the knowledge of the Titans themselves. And then he kind of laughs when he does kind of figure it out about the Mogu not remembering what it was either, at the irony of it. I think he's lying right there.
Yeah. And this, you can actually rephrase as another offer. You get him the heart of the Thunder King, he exchanges knowledge. But he claims he doesn't remember the knowledge from the heart, when in all likelihood he does, so there's another offer of a lie.
And he tells the adventurer, give him time to digest what he learned. Literally time to digest what he ate and learned. And we're talking about knowledge of Titans.
Yeah.
So Wrathion could very well be aware when he eats this heart, when he has the knowledge of the Titans infused into him, he could be very, very well aware that Sargeras has the Pantheon, that Sargeras plans to use the Pantheon to reforge them in the mold of the Burning Legion, and he is aware of the outcome of what Sargeras is after, but he doesn't share it with us. But on the other hand, back in earlier Mist, he said, you cannot stand divided, so then every action Wrathion does divides us further, and he knows what's coming in the form of the Legion. He may know the knowledge of the Titans and what really happened to the Pantheon, and yet he isn't going to share that even though he says it's a threat. And he's got this goal all the time to move forward through chaos and through war to push one side or the other, and we don't know his intentions.
Well, and if you stretch it even further, everything he's done has been related to the Legion. And if you go back into lore, the number one enemy of the Old Gods is the Legion. The Legion was formed by Sargeras to purge the universe of the Old Gods.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look, the further he goes, his path leads to the Legion actually coming, because the Old Gods actually want the Legion to fall.
Exactly. And notice his focus is on the Legion.
Yeah.
The whole time. Not on the Old Gods. Wrathion's not worried about the Old Gods. He never mentions them once.
No.
He talks about the Legion being the threat. So it's almost like Wrathion is this cog in a machine that is pushing us forward to where we are now in Legion, getting the Legion where we are in battle with them so that the whole thing comes out to play and that Wrathion stabs the universe. And let's talk about being a cog in the wheel a little bit further. At the end of the Siege of Orgrimmar, Wrathion is upset and he calls Varian a fool for allowing the Horde to continue to exist. And so Wrathion wanted, again, one side to win. But had the Horde actually defeated Garrosh, he would have been on that side and called them a fool for not finishing off the Alliance when they were there.
Yeah.
Always through chaos. And then this goes into novels, and this could be our third liar offer or something else like that. But let's talk about motivating to get the Legion where they are. In the book War Crimes, it is Wrathion who assists Kyra's Dormu and the Infinite Dragonflight to free Garrosh. Without Wrathion, we would not have had Warlords of Draenor.
No, and without Warlords of Draenor, Gul'dan wouldn't have come back.
And if Gul'dan hadn't come back, the portal at the Burning Shore would not have been opened, the Legion expansion wouldn't be where it is, and we would not now be on Argus. All these things play out in this big, long chain of events, and a lot of them point back towards Wrathion.
Yeah.
Wrathion is the reason we went to Draenor. Wrathion is the reason that Gul'dan got back if you play the backwards game of this gear spins this gear and this cog does that. Then we get to Warlords of Draenor, and Wrathion doesn't seem to do much in Warlords of Draenor. He's just kind of like observing through this expansion. And then we get to Legion. And this is where I kind of want to get into like the third lie that I really think is it. And a lot of people have a lot of theories on the Chromie saving the deaths of Chromie saving Chromie scenario that happened. Wrathion is there, and he's in Northrend, and he's at the Black Dragon Shrine. When you and Chromie, as the player, go to him, and you confront him, he instantly gets defensive and say, oh, it's because I'm a black dragon that you're accusing and questioning me why I'm here. Well, I don't know about you, but people who have something to hide are usually defensive.
Yeah.
And so he automatically dismisses it, and he says, look, I'm not the one who tried to kill Chromie, but it is interesting that, an attack came from here. Why don't you talk to the master of all these dead walking around inside the Black Dragon Shrine? And Wrathion makes a point that his father Deathwing would have never had all these undead walking around. It's funny that he kind of mentions his father in this.
Yeah.
And even funnier is, what is the monster at the Black Dragon Shrine? It is a Dreadlord.
Yeah.
A servant of the Legion. So let's analyze a little bit further. What is the other 4 monsters at these shrines attacking Chromie? One is a Lich. The Lich, the Scourge, are weapons of
The Burning Legion.
the Legion. They were originally created for it. Then we have a Void Lord over at the Blue Dragon Shrine. The Lich is at the Red Dragon Shrine. The Void Lord is at the Blue Dragon Shrine. Void Lord serves the old gods. And then we have a Satyr at the Emerald Dragon Shrine. And the Satyr is a servant of Xavius and the Emerald Nightmare, which are servants of
The old gods.
the old gods. And so we see this Legion Old Gods confrontation coming to fruition even in the Deaths of Chromie scenario. Now, there are the other time portals that open up, and there are different monsters in there, the Nerubians and stuff like that. But again, Nerubians are the Scourge. And so how does this all play out? I feel like Wrathion is lying. And why? If you kill Chromie, if you end her, she is the one Bronze Dragonflight who helps and assists the heroes of Azeroth the most.
Yeah.
If you want to cover up evidence so that no one can see Wrathion's involvement, so that no one can find out what happened in the past, you eliminate the Bronze Dragonflight.
Yeah, because their whole thing is about time.
And there's no better way to see what Wrathion has done than being able to travel back in time and see it. I think Wrathion has some involvement in Chromie's attempted assassination, and I think it's to cover his own tracks. Now again, this is some far-fetched speculation, but the Boy King definitely seems like it could be Wrathion. And remember, every whisper of Il'gynoth is a figurative, whisper. It's not a literal thing. So we all want to point towards Anduin. We all want to point towards, what was the other candidates that you talked about with me, Sage?
Tharusian II, Moira's son.
Okay. And why did people think he was a candidate?
Well, for one, the 3 lies, a lot of people think goes back to actually the 3 Hammer tribes. And he is literally a boy king. Upon his 16th birthday, he is to inherit the throne of Ironforge.
Okay.
But, one, he's had very little involvement in the story. Like, most people probably don't even realize he exists. And 2, I really don't think he's lied to us, because I don't think we've had any interaction with him.
Yep.
The other common theory you find a lot is Arthas. He was a boy king. He was the Lich King. And since his death, a lot of people believe he's entered the Void, and that he's going to come back as a puppet of the Void Lords.
Maybe in a future expansion.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is some things in Legion to kind of back that up. When you play as a Frost Death Knight, or maybe all Death Knights, but I played as Frost, and as I went around the Broken Isles, I noticed that Arthas would show up from time to time as the Lich King and talk to me about what was going on in that land and how it played out and how it kind of affected me as a Death Knight. And it was one of the more interesting questing experiences I had in Legion because no other class really got that. And here we are having Arthas directly talk to us. And I think it might have been just for Frost because we have the Blades of the Fallen Prince.
Yeah.
So maybe it is Arthas, but that's just a point of contention. I think really Wrathion. I'm putting my money on Wrathion being the one because he's always pushing this agenda of we have to do something about the Legion, which matches the way Magni in the beginning of Legion says we have to do something about the Legion.
Yeah.
And so Wrathion is one always pushing towards the Legion. And what is the end result of pushing towards the Legion? Sargeras wounding Azeroth and the old gods' triumphant return.
Yeah.
So is he a servant at the Master's table?
In all likelihood, it's possible.
And who's to say he's really free of the madness that affected his father? We have no idea what the experiments on his egg did. If the red dragonflight was able to breed a black dragon without the taint of, his father, Deathwing. We have no idea how long the old gods can play a game. Actually, we do know how long they can.
Thousands of years.
Thousands of years. So Wrathion could just be a pawn that is moving slowly, and Wrathion might not even be aware that he is a servant at the table. He could just be saying, I just want to push forward through chaos, and he could be unaware. But Wrathion is technically the new Earth Warder, and Wrathion is a key player in pushing us towards the Legion, and without him, we would not be where we are in the story at all.
So that's our theory. Tell us what you think down in the comments, and if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe.
Thanks for all the support. Really appreciate it. Continue to hit that play button, that like button, and that comment button. Let us know what you think. Definitely, like Sage said, please give us some feedback. We'd love to interact with you guys in the comments below. Thank you so much.
Peace.